But in the case of Jesus, who also weeps, the story is not over. It's not the end of the story. Luke 19:41. He draws near, he sees the city, he weeps over it. But immediately after, actually it's a couple chapters later, but the point is, right after he weeps, the story continues in the most surprising way imaginable. Jesus gives himself up for the people. He is crucified. And he rises again from the dead. The story is not over when it comes to Christ. That is really the heart of that fourth question. Two prophets weep, but we have two alternative endings. The story with Elisha ends in destruction. The story with Jesus ends with him giving himself for the life of the world and rising from the dead. And so it's through the weeping and it's through the sickness that we see how this story points to Christ. It's a disappointing story. Elisha has done such great things, hasn't he? But he will get sick in chapter 11. No, I know where it is on the page. 13. And he will die. And he will rot in the grave. And the people will go into exile. And there's nothing he can do to stop it. Because he's just a man. How we long for a new Elisha. A greater Elisha. A more permanent Elisha. One whose life-giving power gives us life today. How we long for him. But even though Israel will go into exile, when I mean exile, I mean an enemy is going to come in and they're going to destroy all their buildings and kill all their people except the best people, and then they're going to leave some just riffraff, and they're going to take all the best people and they're going to take them to a foreign land, and they're going to train them in their ways, brainwash them, steal all their money, and destroy all their cities. That's what exile is. But even though they're going to go into exile, and to bring it back to Kono, even though it was a devastating blow to our family, the source of our identity, it felt like exile as we lost our ancestral home and we scratched our heads. God, why? What does this mean? We long to know. We long for an explanation, an interpretation. Even though they're going into exile, hope remains. Hope remains. There's another thing you can write down. Hope remains. Because everything is happening according to God's plan. I'm not going to go into details. But even though they're going into exile, nothing can overcome God's purpose and God's plan for Israel or for you. And that is the comfort. That is our comfort today. In our sickness, to seek the life-giving power of the one who gave his life for us. In our loss and pain and grief, to remember that nothing can overcome or override God's purpose and plan for his people. And as we read this final story of Elisha, and our hearts are filled with longing for a new, for a greater, for a more permanent Elisha, for a more permanent embodiment of God's presence and salvation. My friends, the good news is that what God promised our fathers, so he has fulfilled to us, his children, by sending his only Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Let's sing. Let's sing a song we know well. Number 4, How Great Thou Art.